What's up, guys? It's James here, and I'm back with another PSVR to PC tutorial. And today we are looking at positional tracking for games that you are sitting in, and I'll also have a video for games that you're standing in shortly. But anyways, stay tuned. You don't want to miss this one. It works great. All right, so positional tracking, something that I think we've all kind of wanted in our games. And the thing that I was hoping for, and I'll admit I've been away for a while, I was really kind of holding out to see if there would be an official release on, on this from Trinus or whoever. And it seems like there hasn't been an official release. So this actually works really well. You just have to set it up properly. I've noticed in the latest version of Trinus that Nolo VR is now supported. And if you don't know what Nolo is, it's a Kickstarter project that allows you to add a base station and controllers to your PC that'll work with any headset. So if you're willing to dish out about $200 US, you can get that add-on, and it seems like Trinus is supporting that. But we're going to go ghetto, and we're going to do it the way that works really well with not a lot of money. And I think for a lot of you out there, cheaper is better, but not always the best option. In this case, it works pretty well. So we're going to go under advanced. We want to make sure we have FreePIE input for STEAMVR turned on. And you also will notice that I've already started up my Trinus. And one thing about that, if you haven't seen my other videos on how to get this hooked up to your PC, I recommend looking at those and figuring out how to get this all hooked up. I'm not going to go through it right now. So Trinus is all up and running. And what we're going to do is, I'm just going to put Trinus down for a second. What we're going to do is we're going to start by telling the computer how to track this headset, okay? And what you're going to need for this, in order for this to work, is you're going to need several PSI cameras, okay? So those are cheap. I picked mine up on Kijiji for $10 each. I'd recommend at least 2, but it's up to you. And I'm going to show you my setup in a second. But you're going to want to get those set up. Now, whether you do it permanently or you have it on tripods like what I have here, so that's a little more portable, it's up to you. Okay, so as you can see here, this is the setup. I got a camera on the left, camera on the right. Okay, don't worry about the softbox in the middle. That's just for my videos. But you can see that, oh, and there's my third one back there. That's for my room scale. We'll talk about that one in another video. But you can see that's how it's set up. Pretty easy. Alright, and there's my double screen setup. Not that that's important, but you can see approximately the position of those cameras from where I'm sitting right now. Hopefully that helps you get that set up properly. So, how are we going to do this? Well, let me show you. What I did on my headset, and this is an easy fix. You can take it off if you don't want it after a while or whatever. But I put a strip of Velcro. Okay, this is 2-sided Velcro, so it's got a sticky back, and it's called the hook. You know what? I forget the name. Hook and groove. I can't remember. But anyways, basically standard Velcro. And you can see how that has nicely been attached to the top of the PlayStation VR. Okay, so here's the headset, and here's the Velcro strip I was talking about, and you can see it's pretty simple, nothing to it. I added a little foam pad under the top part, and I'll show you why in a second, because when you take your Move controller and stick it on there, just like so, that little pad cushions the top part of the controller. Otherwise, you may have a little more movement than you like, but it sticks on there really well. It works really good. As you can see, it looks probably less dorky than a few others that I've seen with a similar setup. I also have a Move controller with Velcro, the other side of the Velcro attached to the back of the controller, and that's just going to nicely sit mounted like that on the front of the PSVR. Okay, and I'm going to show you why that's important right now. What we're going to do is we're going to take this controller, we're going to hook it up to the PC. Now, if you didn't see my video on hooking up controllers, any controllers, I recommend you watch that. We're going to hook this up to the PC. And I'm not going to go through all the steps because I explained it in the controller video. But I've got that hooked up. You're going to see the light starts to blink. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run my PSMOVE services. And what I'm going to do before I even run anything here is I'm going to test my cameras to make sure that it can see me from those two angles. Test camera. Here they are. One here and one there. And here's my controller. So it's kind of weird. You can see me from three angles, but you can see that it is tracking pretty nicely for this controller that I'm holding. And I'm in a seated position, so as long as you can see me where I'm sitting, very important. Alright? Now the first thing you're going to do after you've tested your cameras and made sure they're working is you're going to run your PSMOVE service with Administrator. Keep in mind that you should have a Bluetooth adapter which will allow for these to connect. Now, when you run PSMOVE service, it might say failed to open. That's just for the headset. Don't worry about that. Just get it running and put it down. And then we're going to go to the Move Config tool. Here we go. Controller settings. We're going to unpair this one. Okay. I'm just going to unplug it. We're going to plug it back in. Alright, now we're going to pair it. Sorry, this was paired before, I didn't realize that. I'm going to hit pair USB. We have to go through the process of pressing the PS button again, same as controller setup that we did in the other video. Alright, we're going to get it all up and running. Sometimes this takes a few, not minutes, but a few seconds, so give me a moment here. Every time it stops blinking, I'm pressing the PS button. And we're almost there. I did notice a difference. There we go. And now once it's connected, you can actually unplug it from the charging cord. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to switch to my controller because I'm going to need that right away. There we go. Okay, so now we have our controller hooked up. That's only important for later on. So now I've got the PlayStation Move controller. The light is a steady red, which means it's connected. We're going to go Calibrate Magnetometer, and I'm going to spin my controller. Now this is an older PSMOVE controller. I believe on the newer ones, I haven't had to do this before, but we're going to get this to 100%. We're going to spin it all whichever way. Going to put it down, nice and level. We're going to hit OK. And now it's going to measure for drift and basically get it nicely calibrated. So you can see now it follows the movements. Now the problem is, if you look, it is stuck in one spot. It's basically detecting the rotation, but only in one spot. It's not moving as I move it up and down. So what we need to do is we need to actually set this up as a tracker cam, okay? And that's I'll show you how to do that. So, we're going to return to the main menu. We're going to go to Tracker Settings. We're going to go Calibrate Tracking Colors, just like we did with the other controller setup in the other video. Here's our first video, and what we're going to do is we're going to right-click the magenta. And I'm just going to switch the video filter mode, and you can see that it is seeing it very nicely. We're going to save and apply. I'm going to return. And I'm going to switch to tracker, my next camera, Tracker 1, which is my second camera. We're going to do the same thing. And you'll see that Tracker 1 is also picking it up nicely. So we're going to save, apply, and return. And now we know that this is being tracked nicely. But we also want to make sure it's tracked in 3D space for positional tracking. So I'm just going to take my headset, I'm going to move it off for a second. I'm just going to put it over here. What you need to do to get this working is you need to have a calibration mat. This is available, I'll put it in the link. This is what it looks like. Hard to see, I know. I apologize, it's really hard to see. But this is a calibration mat, and you need to print this out on 8.5 by 11. I'm just going to put it on any surface. It doesn't matter what the surface is. You're just going to put it down and lay it somewhere. It's a point of reference for these cameras. And you'll see a number 1 on here. I'm going to put it on position 1 because that's where it's going to start. And what we're going to do is we're going to go compute tracker poses. Okay, so we're going to click that, and it's going to say, can you see it? And you can see that it is detecting it, it is tracking it. We'll go to next tracker. It does see it. You can see it put a bullseye sort of on the controller. And if it looks good, we're going to say looks good. We're going to put it on position 1. I'm going to say looks good. And it is tracking at location 1, as you can see. This looks like a lot of work. It's not. It takes literally a couple seconds once you've done this before. When you lift it off, it's going to say put it in position 2. And there it goes. Lift it off, it's going to say put it in position 3. Lift off, put it in position 4. Lift it off and put it in position 5. And there we go. That is done. And now you can see, I'm just going to move this box. Now you can see that this controller is tracked in space as well as positionally. Okay? And this is very important because once you've got it tracking in 3D space, now you can use it to positionally track for your headset. So we're going to hit exit. It's done. We're going to return to the main menu. One important thing I forgot to mention is inside our controller settings, it's telling us right here that this ID for this controller is controller ID 1. Very important in the next step here. I'll show you why. We're going to exit, and now we are going to run a separate program, and I'm not 100% sure whether you have to have this running or not. I think you do, but FreePIE is, again, this is all free software. I'm going to run it. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just going to put it down, and I'm going to open up another software. This time it's called PSMOVEFREEPIEBRIDGE. Going to double click that, and it's going to ask us how many controllers do you want to track, 1 to 4. So we're going to hit 1 because we want to just track 1. What's the ID? Now this is where that ID is important that I just talked about. We're going to put 1 because that's what it was set as for PSMOVE services. And do you want a custom bulb color? We're going to say no. It was set for magenta. If everything goes right and I hit return here, the light should appear and it should be tracking. And there we go. You can see the light came on, and it says that we have acquired controller 1. All right, we're now ready to use this to track in the virtual space. And let's take a look at how that looks. So, before I start anything, I have Trinus running. I now have my headset, and I'm going to use this Velcro strap, this Velcro piece, to place place the controller as centered as I can onto the Velcro strap. Now, let me tell you that this thing is very strong, very stable. I've swung my head like crazy and it does not come off. And it actually doesn't look too bad. I've seen some videos where they really mangle the controller. This doesn't look too bad, and actually it holds on really, really nicely. Okay, so this little ball at the top is your positional tracking, and I'm going to just get Steam up and running so you can see how this is working. Run as administrator. Okay, Steam is loaded up, and I'm going to just put it down because we're not going to need it just yet. We're going to use STEAMVR now as well. Okay, and you'll notice when STEAMVR comes up, I'm going to just switch the headset so that it goes inside of, the screen so that it goes inside the headset. There we go. I'm going to just turn on mirroring so you can see what my headset sees. All right. Now basically, we have our headset in 3D space as we normally do. And you're on the left and right sides of the controller, you have a select and a start button. You're going to push both of those and kind of keep it centered and push both of those. And you'll see a controller kind of floating in space, which is a little annoying. You can turn that off. I'll show you how in the description below. But it's only in the room setup, in this initial room, that you're going to need to worry about that or see that. I don't know if you can tell, but as I move my controller forward and back, it is also moving forward and back. And before we only had rotational, but like I said, now we've got positional as well. And with two cameras, it's very smooth. It's very, very good. It works nicely. Now let's try it with an actual game. All right, let's try with a game that we can actually test out and see how this is working. And I'm going to use Edge of Nowhere as the game that I'm going to try. So if you saw my other video on playing Oculus games, super easy to do, and it works really, really well. I'm going to just load up Oculus. And I'm using Revive, again, as hopefully as you've seen in my other video. I'm just going to put this down, and I'm going to put Oculus down as well once it's loaded up. And I'm going to go on to my taskbar, and I'm going to right-click my Revive dashboard, and I'm going to hit Inject. I'm going to look for the game. Again, this is all explained in my other video. Oculus, software, software, Edge of Nowhere. Here we go. Hit Open. Now, I have got my Edge of Nowhere loading up. As you can see, there we go. Just going to center my view. There we are. Okay, awesome. I'm going to just put the headset on so you guys can see what I see. I've got my controller. I center my view. I'm going to hit Continue Game. I'm going to say that this really is a game changer. Here we go. And with the controller, as you can see, as I move my head, it is tracking beautifully. All right, it's moving forward and back nicely. And I don't know how well that's showing. I'm sure it's taking a lot of CPU power to be able to show you that, plus what I see in the headset. However, it works great. It works really good, really smooth. Okay, maybe it's not showing that well because I got a lot going on the computer right now. But it works really nicely, and I can move forward and back. I can look around corners. I can look around my character. All right, so not only is it detecting the rotational tracking, it's also detecting the positional as well. This game, by the way, if you have not tried this game, it is fantastic. It plays great from a seated position with the gamepad like you can see me doing right now. It is wonderful. And with that positional tracking, it just adds a whole nother level of immersion into the games that you play. All right, so I strongly recommend Edge of Nowhere. Again, if you haven't tried it, it is wonderful. All right, and you can see that it's playing really nicely, as with all the VR games through that Revive. You're able to play all the libraries, whether it's Oculus, Vive, or SteamVR is Vive, and of course your PlayStation games as well. All right, so it is wonderful, works great, looks great, tracks really nicely. Now, if you're getting a little bit of stutter, okay, easy to run that calibration once again, and it's going to work great. I'm going to just quit the game here. Quit to Oculus Home. Here we go. And yes. All right, anyways, I didn't want to actually do something that would wreck my headset. The Velcro tape is a non-intrusive sort of way to add the tracking to your headset. It works great. It's got the ball up top where it needs to be. And if you don't like it or you don't want to use it after a while, you can easily take that off. No big deal. All right? So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this allows you to play games that you maybe wouldn't have been able to play before if you didn't have positional tracking available. We are getting closer and closer to having everything working just as good as if you owned an actual Oculus or an actual Vive. And actually, once I show you the next video with positional room scale tracking, pretty much it's as good as it's going to get with what we've got, and it's a heck of a lot cheaper. So stay tuned. If you like this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you want more of this great stuff. And I hope to keep bringing you guys great PSVR content in the very near future. All right, so stay tuned.